Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama.
हरे कृष्णा जी। अभी तो जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी, जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी, जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवर धारी, गोपी जन वल्लभ, जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवर धारी, गोपिया यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन, यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन, यमुना तीरा वनचारी, यमुना तीरा, यमुना तीरा वनचारी, यमुना तीरा वनचारी, जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी, जय राधा माधव, जय राधा वृंदावन चंद्र राधा, वृंदावन चंद्र राधे, राधा वृंदावन जय निताई गौरंग, निताई गौरंग, Nitai Gauranga Jaya Nitai Gauranga Nitai Gauranga Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Prabhupada
Jai Om Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivrajakaacharya Ashtottara Shatashi Srimad His Divine Grace Abhay Charan Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki ISKCON Samsthapanacharya Savior of the whole world Vishwaguru Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Om Vishnupada Nitya Leela Pravishta His Divine Grace Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Srila Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Nitai Go Premanande Hari Hari Bo Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 6, Text number 21. Sruti Vichakrame Vishwan Sruti Vichakrame Vishwan Sashana Anashana Ubhe Sashananashane Ubhe Sashananashane Ubhe Yat Avidya Cha Vidya Cha Yadavidya Cha Vidya Cha Purushaha Tu Ubhaya Ashrayaha Purushastu Bhayashrayaha Purushastu Bhayashrayaha Sruti Vichakrame Vishwan Sashananashane Ubhe Yada Vidya Cha Vidya Cha Purushastu Bhayashrayaha Shruti Vichakrame Vishwan Sashananashane Ubhe Yada Vidya Cha Vidya Cha Purushastu Bhayashrayaha Sruti Vichakrame Vishwan Sashananashane Ubhe Yada Vidya Cha Vidya Cha Purushastu Bhayashrayaha Vishwan Sriti, the destination of the living entities. Vichakrame exists comprehensively. Vishwan, the all-pervading personality of Godhead. Sashana, activities of lording it over. Anashane, activities in devotional service. Ubhe, both. Yat, what is. Avidya, nescience. Cha, as well as. Vidya, factual knowledge. Cha, and. Purushaha, the Supreme Person. Tu, but. Ubhaya, for both of them. Ashrayaha, the Master. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. By His energies, the all-pervading personality of Godhead is thus comprehensively the master in the activities of controlling and in devotional service. He is the ultimate master of both nescience and factual knowledge of all situations. Translations with repetition. By His energies, the all-pervading personality of Godhead is thus comprehensively the master in the activities of controlling and in devotional service. He is the ultimate master of both nescience and factual knowledge of all situations. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The word Vishwan is significant in this verse. One who travels perfectly in every field of activity is called the Purusha or Kshetrajna. These two terms, Kshetrajna and Purusha, are equally applicable to both the individual self and the Supreme Self, the Lord. In the Bhagavad Gita, the matter is explained as follows. Kshetragnam chapi mam vidhi sarva kshetreshu bharata kshetragnayor gnanam yattad gnanam matam mama. Kshetra means the place, and one who knows the place is called the Kshetrajna. The individual self knows about his limited field of activities, but the Supreme Self, the Lord, knows about the unlimited field of activities. The individual soul knows about his own thinking, feeling, and willing activities, but the Super Soul or the Paramatma, the Supreme Controller, being present everywhere, knows everyone's thinking, feeling, and willing activities. And as such, the individual living entity, is the minute master of his personal affairs, whereas the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the master of everyone's affairs, past, present, and future. Vedaham samatitani, etc. Only the ignorant person does not know this difference between the Lord and the living entities. The living entities, as distinguished from incognizant matter, may be qualitatively equal to the Lord in cognizance, but the living entity can never be equal to the Lord in full knowledge of past, present, and future. And because the living entity is partially cognizant, he is therefore sometimes forgetful of his own identity. This forgetfulness is specially manifested in the field of the Ekapada Vibhuti of the Lord or in the material world. But in the Tripada Vibhuti field of actions or in the spiritual world, there is no forgetfulness by the living entities who are free from all kinds of contaminations resulting from the forgetful state of existence. The material body is the symbol of the gross and subtle form of forgetfulness. Therefore, the whole atmosphere of the material world is called avidya or nescience, whereas the whole atmosphere of the spiritual world is called vidya or full of knowledge. There are different stages of avidya, and they are called dharma, artha, and moksha. The idea of moksha or liberation held by the monist in the matter of oneness of the living entity and the Lord by ultimate merging in one is also the last stage of materialism or forgetfulness. Knowledge of the qualitative oneness of the self and the super self is partial knowledge. And ignorance also, because there is no knowledge of quantitative difference as explained above. The individual self can never be equal to the Lord in cognizance. Otherwise, he could not be placed in the state of forgetfulness. So because there is a stage of forgetfulness of the individual selves or the living entities, there is always a gulf of difference between the Lord and the living entity, as between the part and the whole. The part is never equal to the whole. So the conception of 100% equality of the living entity with the Lord is also nescience. In the field of nescience, activities are directed toward lording it over the creation. In the material world, therefore, everyone is engaged in acquiring material opulence to lord it over the material world. Therefore, there is always clash and frustration, which are the symptoms of nescience. But in the field of knowledge, there is devotional service to the Lord, bhakti. Therefore, there is no chance of being contaminated by the influence of nescience or forgetfulness, avidya, in the liberated stage of devotional activities. The Lord is thus the proprietor of the fields both of nescience and of cognition, and it remains the choice of the living entity to exist in either of the above regions. Thus ends the Bhakti Vedanta purport. Om Ajnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitan Ena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Reading from this chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam in second canto called Purusha Sukta, Confirmed. In this part of the Bhagavatam, the different statements of Purusha Sukta, which is part of the Rig Veda, are once again being brought up, and line by line they are being discussed. And hence this chapter confirms the statements of the Purusha Sukta, and hence Srila Prabhupada called this chapter Purusha Sukta, Confirmed. And this particular verse, if you notice, Tatha Vishwan Vikramat Sashana Nashane Abhi. That's the line of the Purusha Sukta that is being explained, expanded, and described here. Shruti vichakrame vishwan sashana nashane ubhe. You see the similarity. Yada vidya cha purushastu ubhayashraya. Actually, these verses from the Purusha Sukta and further confirmed and expanded and explained in the Srimad Bhagavatam, as Srila Prabhupada said, Vedas are full of grave statements and meanings. And hence, Shruti means we have to hear this knowledge, understand this knowledge from a self-realized person. That's why it is called Shruti. It is to be heard, but it is to be heard from a self-realized person. A non-self-realized person, and who is not trained in the discipline of Shruta Parampara, in the discipline of speaking exactly from the Vedic literatures, as explained by the spiritual master, who should be a realized spiritual master. Otherwise, it will be mental concoction. So, here we find truly grave statements and meaning, and Srila Prabhupada expanding on that in the purport. We'll try to appreciate all of this. Sruti vichakrame vishwan. Sruti means path, a certain path that one takes. And here, Srila Prabhupada has explained, Sruti means the destination of the living entities. The living entities can take different paths, and that will take them to different destinations. And Shruti vichakrame, krama means steps. That's why he is called Urukrama, who took extraordinary step. We all take small steps and climb up staircase, walk in the... But Lord took a step. He covered the entire universe. That's why he's known as Urukrama. Uru means something very, very extraordinary. He lifted his leg and covered the entire universe. So he came as a Vatu, Brahmana Vatu. He came like a simple brahmachari asking, like a begging for some like a brahmachari goes and begs for his guru. And Bali thought that, okay, one small brahmachari has come, I'll give him. And he only asked, give me 3 steps of my kingdom. He's a big Maharaja, emperor, such a big kingdom. And he thought, he's a foolish boy. He has come to me. He's asking 3 steps. All right, here, take it. Then he realized, this is not a small boy. He is Vishnu himself. He expanded himself. And then took 1 step, covered all the lower planetary system. Another step, covered all the third, upper planetary system. Where is your 3rd step? Where shall I keep? See, that's why he's called Urukrama. Shruti Vichakrame. Vichakrame. Vichakrame, Prabhupada translates, exists comprehensively. Very nice explanation. So, why is it Prabhupada has translated this as exists comprehensively? If we read the purport, we will get, you see, the thing is, these words, as Prabhupada said, Vedic statements are full of grave, Vedas are full of grave statements and meanings. And hence, it requires hearing from a realized soul to explain these things. Otherwise, we will not make out. Vichakrame means wandering. Wandering here, there, striding, walking around. So here, Vichakrame, Prabhupada translates, exists comprehensively. Why is that? Prabhupada is explaining in the purport. The word Vishwan is significant in this verse. The word Vishwan, let's see how Prabhupada has translated. The all-pervading personality of Godhead. See? Vishwa, we got the distinction for Srila Prabhupada. Vishwa Guru. Right? Vishwa, Vishwan. Vishwan means complete or entire. The word Vishwa means complete or entire. And that's why it means, it is supposed to also mean the entire universe. So here, Prabhupada begins the purport by saying, the word Vishwan is significant in this verse. One who travels, Vichakrame. See? One who travels perfectly in every field of activity is called the Purusha or Kshetrajna. These 2 words, these 2 terms, Kshetrajna and Purusha, are equally applicable to both the individual self and the Supreme Self, the Lord. So the living entity, we also can Vichakrame Vishwan. We can also go everywhere in the universe. And we have been going. Brahmanda Brahmite. We have also been going. In different lives, we are born in different species, in different planetary systems. And we wander around, Vichakrame. Lord, also Vichakrame, can also apply to him, Vishwan Vichakrame. But his traveling or traversing is through his own energies. It's his own energies pervading everywhere. That's why Vishwan refers to the all-pervading personality of Godhead, one who travels everywhere. We also travel everywhere. He travels. We traveling is different. His traveling is different. We will see how Srila Prabhupada explains all these things further. Sashana nashane ubhe. Sashana, sa ashana, sashana. Anashana, sashana, anashana, ubhe. There are ubhe, two. Ubhe sruti. There are two paths the living entities traverse. Sashana sruti, anashana sruti. Strictly speaking, ashana means eating. Anashana means not eating, abstinence from eating. There is the path of eating and there is the path of non-eating. Hey, what does this mean? That's why you see, when those Western scholars in Sanskrit, they came and read these Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, Vedas, their heads were spinning. What to make of all these things? See? They thought, okay, let's learn Sanskrit. Let us become scholars in Sanskrit and then we will read. They tried that. But you cannot understand. There is a path of eating and there is a path of not eating. And like this, the living entity can go all over the universe. What does all this mean? You see? It's very perplexing. Our acharyas have explained Sashane, the path of lording over, the path of enjoyment. Anashane, the path of abstinence, the path of liberation, the path of devotional service. Sashana, activities of lording it over. Anashane, activities in devotional service. Ubhe. So, and this word Sashana, Anashane is in the Rig Veda also, in the Purusha Sukta also. And so in this way, the living entity can traverse all over the universe. And then further Prabhupada explains, Kshetra means the place, one who knows, and one who knows the place is called Kshetrajna. The individual self knows about his limited field of activities, but the Supreme Self, the Lord, knows about the unlimited field of activities. The individual soul knows about his own thinking, feeling, and willing activities. We all know our thinking, our feeling, and our willing activities. We make a will, oh, let us do this. Let's go. Let us do this. And we are conscious of it. We are cognizant of it. I won't know what your thinking, feeling, and willing is. You may express it to me. I may get a little sense of it. Oh, you're thinking like that. Don't think like that. No, very good thinking you have. We affirm to each other. Unless you tell me, I will not know. Feeling, thinking, feeling, willing, I cannot know. I know my thinking, feeling, and willing. But there is one Lord who knows thinking, feeling, and willing of everyone. How do we know that Lord, such a Lord exists? We cannot know by ourselves. You can know only through Shastra. You cannot know. No other way, because he's adhokshaja. You cannot see him. He's not accessible to the senses. He's not accessible to the mind and intelligence. He is beyond all this. But he is fully cognizant. And so Krishna, speaking in the Bhagavad Gita, he is saying, Kshetragnam chapi mam vidhi. Mam cha kshetragnam vidhi. You should know, I am also the kshetragna. But sarvakshetreshu bharata, sarvakshetreshu kshetragnam, mam sarvakshetreshu kshetragna vidhi, you must know. So Krishna tells, otherwise we will not know. We cannot know by ourselves. We don't have the ability to know everything about everything in the world, everything in the universe we can know. So that is why we take knowledge from the Shastra. There's that one famous conversation with Srila Prabhupada. One Western devotee asked Prabhupada, Prabhupada, we read in the Bhagavatam that there is an ocean of milk. How do we understand all this? Because we know ocean of salt water, ocean we know. Now you hear this. And we know we collect milk from a cow, you'll get one pot. Now you're talking about an ocean of milk. How can we understand this, Prabhupada? So Prabhupada's reply was very simple. Have you gone all over the universe and seen everything? Obviously, we have not gone. And even within the planet, we have not gone everywhere. So Prabhupada said, there are so many things that you don't know. And we can't even know. Even if you have the means, suppose you have a super rich man, you have all ability, you want to travel, you want to go to some end of the solar system, can you do? We can't do. It's inaccessible. We are limited. We must realize that we are limited. And when we realize that we are limited, we will become humble. And when you are humble, you will take knowledge from the persons who know this knowledge. That's why humility is one of the aspects of jnana. Amanitvam adhambitvam. Anyway. So in this way, the individual self knows thinking, feeling, willing of oneself, but the Lord knows the thinking, feeling, willing of every living entity. He is cognizant. And because the living entity is partially cognizant, not that we are not cognizant at all, like say for instance a furniture, chair, is not cognizant at all. It does not have a thinking, feeling, willing at all. Whereas we living entities, human beings, animals, birds, all of us have some thinking, feeling, willing. You see, sometimes monkeys come. They are thinking or not? They are also thinking. Very expert in thinking. Very expert in feeling. Very expert in willing. They make a will. Come, I'll come and snatch the mobile. Right? So they have thinking, feeling, willing. But our thinking, feeling, willing is we are cognizant of our thinking, feeling, willing, but the Lord is cognizant of everyone's thinking, feeling and willing. Now, because we have limitation of our cognizance, our awareness about everything, what's going on. We are limited. That's the nature of the living entities. So because we are this forgetful, and because the living entity is partially cognizant, He is therefore sometimes forgetful of his own identity. Our own awareness of our own identity, we have limitation. And because we are associated with the body, we start thinking, I am the body. I am a man, I am a woman, I am young, I am old, I am Indian, I am American, I am Pakistani. This mistaken identity comes, and because of the mistaken identity, follows with mistaken thinking, mistaken feeling, mistaken willing. Hence a whole range of thinking, feeling, willing, all in a mistaken way begins. And this forgetfulness is especially manifested in the field of Ekapada Vibhuti of the Lord, or in the material world. But in the Tripada Vibhuti, field of actions, or in the spiritual world, there is no forgetfulness by the living entities. No forgetfulness of what? Forgetfulness of our identity. Who we are. That's the main thing we have forgotten. Of course, in our life we may forget where I kept the key. I have to keep searching. These are all small forgetfulness. But there's a fundamental forgetfulness about who we are, about our identity. And this material body is a symbol of the gross and subtle form of forgetfulness. Therefore, the whole atmosphere of material world is called avidya or nations, whereas the whole atmosphere of the spiritual world is called vidya or full of knowledge. The verse is now next coming to Sasha, Ashana, Anashana, Ubhe, Yad avidya cha vidya cha. So there are two domains, a domain of vidya and a domain of avidya. A region of knowledge, vidya, and a region of avidya. In this world, which is a region of avidya, there is a fundamental avidya about our own existence. If we are clear about our existence, it will solve all problems. If we are cognizant of our position, identity, we can solve our personal problems and we'll be free. That's why Prabhupada says, fearlessness is real life. Here always there is a fear. Because of mistaken identity, something I possess, what I possess, I may lose it. Somebody may come and take it away. Fear. Actually, if we understand that we are not part of this world, we are here temporarily. We belong to the spiritual world. We have to be with Krishna. If we understand that, we will become fearless. And that fearless is real life. Prabhupada explained. So, this body itself is a symbol of gross and subtle forgetfulness, for ignorance. The material body is a symbol of the gross and subtle form of forgetfulness. We are given a body because of our forgetfulness. Because of our forgetfulness, we developed thinking, feeling, willing in a wrong way. And to fulfill that thinking, feeling, and willing, the Lord has manifested the material universe and created many forms of bodies, and we enter into that and we start identifying that with that body, and we start thinking, feeling, willing as dictated by the subtle arrangement, psychological arrangement every body has. My monkey also has one psychological arrangement. We have a psychological arrangement also. According to his mind, his psychological arrangement, he's thinking. We think according to our psychological arrangement as a man, as a woman, as this and that. But all of this, that's why Prabhupada is saying the body is a symbol of this forgetfulness. And we go about with our activities. And what are our activities? Ashana, Sashana, Anashana. We'll come to Anashana a little later. We go about lording over the material world. Because coming from forgetfulness. And next, Prabhupada makes such a powerful statement. There are different stages of avidya, and they are called dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. This is an extraordinary statement. If somebody sees this, they say, what is this dharma? This is dharma. You are talking about dharma and you are saying it is another stage of forgetfulness. It's another kind of avidya. Right? Actually, it happened to all of us, isn't it? We didn't realize at all what was happening. It was just we were floating on the wave of Srila Prabhupada, mercy wave of Srila Prabhupada. Our parents, many of us, most of us, I would think, had invested in us, in our education, and we were the hope for them. And they were all religious people. No? Our parents were all, most of them, practically all. They were not irreligious people. But they had so many plans for enjoyment, and they thought, our son, we have invested in him, so much education we gave him, now he will further amplify our enjoyment. Within a dharmic way, that was their hope. And somehow we came in touch with Prabhupada's books. We didn't realize all these things at that stage when we were so young. But somehow we made a decision. Forget it. We are not going to expand the plans of our parents. And they cried. We should remember this. And we still took a step. And it's a right thing to do. It's not wrong. Not everyone can do it, of course. Some fortunate can do it. Because to understand that even in a dharmic way, to enjoy the material world is wrong. To, in a dharmic way, expand my artha. In a dharmic way, expand my kama. And in a dharmic way, try to attain moksha. All of these are wrong. Different kinds of avidya. There are different stages of avidya. We didn't understand all these things, but somehow we jumped in. Prabhupada had created an institution, singing, dancing, nice prasadam. Oh, let's join. This is serious. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu pointing out this from the Shastra. Dharma, artha, kama, moksha. Sarva truna sama. Panchama purushartha. Krishna prema age. Truna sama. In front of Krishna prema, the original perfection of every living entity, because we are a part and parcel of Krishna, that love of Krishna is our perfection. And before that perfection, pursuit of dharma, artha, kama, moksha is also trunasama, is like a straw to be chucked away, to be rejected, not taken seriously. And hence Prabhupada is making this statement. There are different stages of avidya and they are called dharma, artha, kama and moksha. Now moksha referring to the monist conception of I should become one with God and that way I should attain moksha. That's another last stage of forgetfulness. That's also another kind of forgetfulness. Because we are not cognizant of everything. We are small. We are amsha. We don't know everything. And to think that I am as good as the one who knows everything is another absurdity, is another kind of serious forgetfulness. So because there is the stage of forgetfulness of the individual selves or the living entities, there is always a gulf of difference between the Lord and the living entity as the part and the whole. The part is never equal to the whole. So the conception of 100% equality with the living being, with the Lord, the part is never equal to the whole. So the conception of 100% equality of the living being with the Lord is also nescience. That is also incorrect. In the field of nescience, avidya, what is happening? Sashana, lording activities in different ways. That is what the material world is. Sashani and anashani. Anashani can also mean path of liberation, can also mean monist path of liberation. Some austerity they also practice, but they don't come to the full stage of freedom from avidya. That's why prema bhakti yaha hoite avidya vinashayate. When prema bhakti is awakened in the heart of the living entity, there is complete cessation of avidya. Till then, there are different grades of avidya. Therefore, in the material world, therefore, everyone is engaged in the field of nescience, ignorance. Activities are directed toward lording it over the creation. This is what we do, isn't it? We come across a small portion of a creation, we are allowed to vichakrame in every life. If you are a bird, you can fly up in the sky also. If you are a small insect, only 20 feet, 30 feet, whole life we will be moving around like an ant. How much an ant will move? As human beings, we have a train, aircraft, we flying around, so a little bit more. But you can't go beyond somewhere else. So different levels of activities, vichakrame we do, wandering we do. But what is our intention in all of this vichakrame? How to lord over the creation. How to acquire more. And I have this body for my senses, how to acquire gratification and how to get honor, prestige, power. So this is the absorption of the living entity. So in the material world, therefore, everyone is engaged in acquiring material opulence to lord it over the material world. Therefore, there is always clash and frustration, which are the symptoms of nescience. But in the field of knowledge, there is devotional service to the Lord, bhakti. Therefore, there is no chance of being contaminated by the influence of nescience, of forgetfulness, avidya, in the liberated stage of devotional activities. And the way Prabhupada concludes the purport is very beautiful. Now, the living entity can be vichakrame in the domain of avidya or can be in the domain of vidya. What decides that? The Lord is thus the proprietor. Now, another important thing this verse is revealing is yad avidya cha vidya cha purushastu ubhaya ashrayaha. There is one Purusha who also vichakrame, Vishwan vichakrame. He also goes all over the universe through his own energy. It's his own energy. It's his expansion. He is ashraya. He is the shelter. He is the protector. He is the control. He is the master. Ubhe ashrayaha. Purushastu ubhaya Ashrayaha. He is the Ashraya for both. What are the two? Vidya, the domain of avidya, the domain of vidya. The path, sruti of sashane sruti, anashane sruti. He is the master of both. And now the living entity has a choice whether I want to be in this domain or on that domain. The willingness to serve the Lord, we will be in the spiritual domain. The willingness to lord over this world, the creation, we will be in this world. Choice is left to us. That's how Prabhupada concludes this. The Lord is thus the proprietor of the fields, both of nescience and cognition. There are two kshetra. There are two situations. There are two fields of activity, of avidya and vidya. In avidya, everyone is trying to lord over the creation, lord over the kshetra. This body is one kshetra we want to lord over it. I am the Lord, I want to enjoy. Or we have some access to some kshetra in the creation, we want to lord over that. But actually he is the Lord. The Lord is thus the proprietor of the fields, both of nescience and cognition, and it remains the choice of the living entity to exist in either of the above regions. So it's in our own hands, what we want to be. Now you see how the original verse of the Bhagavatam and how Srila Prabhupada has unlocked the true meaning. How the statement of Purusha Sukta, Tato Vishwan Vyakramat Sashana Nashane Abhi. How Srila Prabhupada has unlocked the meaning and expanded that in the purport. Sruti Vichakrame Vishwan Sashana Nashane Ubhe Yada Vidyacha Vidyacha Purushastu Ubhayashrayaha. So beautiful, isn't it? Sometimes scholars are there. They know all these things, but they don't know the real essence of I should not be Lord. They will use their scholarship also to show their superiority. They'll be lording over in another way. There's one conversation, another famous, important conversation. May not be famous, but it should become famous. When one devotee was asking about learning Shastra, Prabhupada said, don't try to be a scholar. The world has so many scholars, they are useless. Try to be a devotee. See how Prabhupada was so penetrating. I've interacted with a lot of Vedic scholars. And you see in them, there is a certain lording in a very subtle way. So this lording tendency, freedom from the lording tendency is an indication of vidya, is real vidya, the real knowledge, not just book knowledge. That is why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and our acharyas, although this knowledge is taken from the Shastra only, but this has been further simplified and explained, and we have to become devotees, surrender to Krishna. Then it opens us to an understanding of the universe. What is that spiritual world about? What is happening there? What is this Purusha who is the Lord of this both regions, both kshetra, avidya kshetra and vidya kshetra? What does he do? What does he do there? He is eternally there. Eternal is a long time. What does he do for eternity? And we can also associate with him eternally. For us also it is a long time. What will we be doing? You see? And in that spiritual world, the living entities are constantly engaged in varieties of service in the Leela of the Lord. That word we sing every day, Damodarashtakam, Ananta Leelaya. He is engaged in Ananta Leela. With Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai, we say. So in the spiritual world, there are Ananta Koti. Koti itself is quite a big number. Now we're talking about Ananta Koti. Ananta, unending Koti devotees engaged in unending Ananta Leela. And all of this is loving Leelas with the Lord. And that opportunity is there. So in order to prepare us, how you see Bhagavatam is systematically developing the understanding, who is this Purusha? In the early cantos, in the second canto. This sense, to capture it accurately and to present it correctly, it's a very, very extraordinary thing what Srila Prabhupada. I was remembering some days ago when, after our last class, in South India, there is this Vaikuntha Ekadashi festival, right? And even as a student, as a child, I had heard, because it's there in the common, it's part of our culture, right? Culture means how you behave in your society, how you conduct in your society, what values, what understanding you reflect in your society. So there was always an understanding that on Vaikuntha Ekadashi, you should go to a temple and there Swargadwara will open. Swargadwar will open. We should go under that, then you will go to Swarga. Only this much was there, nothing more. So when I came to Krishna consciousness and when I started reading Srila Prabhupada's book, then this what thought came. Swargadwar, Swarga. But then Prabhupada says, no, from Swarga also you will come back. What's all this? Heaven means you go. You see, Prabhupada is this is accurate nomenclature we need to describe all this. You see how in the previous verse, that's why the previous verse struck me. I'll read the previous verse. Padastrayo bahischasan aprajanamya ashramaha. Padastrayaha, tripada. Bahischasan. The threefold existence or the three-quarter existence of the spiritual world is Bahihi Asan. Bahi, it is beyond. And who are there? Aprajanam, who don't like to take birth again and again. Ya ashramaha. And those who are in the status of life, who don't want to take birth again, they go there. Antastrilokyasva aparo grihamedo abruhadvrutaha. And others, aparaha. Others. First statement was description about padastrayo, bahischasan, aprajanamya ashramaha. Those who don't want to take rebirth, they are in that region. Tripada, transcendent, which is bahihi, which is outside. Aparaha, others who want to take birth again and again. What do? They are grihamedas, attached to family life. And abruhat vrataha, they don't take the path of celibacy. Bruhat vrataha means path of celibacy. It's the most difficult vrata. Those who have taken that bruhat vrataha, and those who have not taken bruhat vrata, abruhat vrataha, grihamedaha, what happens to them? Aparaha, others, trilokyas antaha. They are within the three worlds. The three worlds is middle world, upper world, and lower world, which is the three material worlds. That's why you see, Swarga is also part of the upper world, but it is Antaha. It is within. Bahihi is Tripada Lokaha. So, Vaikunta region is beyond all of these. So, Svargadvara, that word must have come about, with culturally, somehow must have some words come about without accurate understanding. Actually, it's Vaikuntha Dwara. Vaikuntha Ekadashi is supposed to be Vaikuntha Dwara. But commonly it had come to be known as, I think in ISKCON we have popularized it as Vaikuntha Dwara now, and people are beginning to, that's Vaikuntha Dwara, we should go. But otherwise the language was Swargadvara. And so this kind of an accurate understanding. And of course also there is another word, another meaning of the word Swargadwar in North India. Crematorium. Which with a pious hope that whoever has gone, we take them to Swargadwar, they will go to heaven. But why we should send them to heaven? We should send them to Vaikuntha. So, you see, the thing is, what I'm trying to say is that how Srila Prabhupada has accurately presented the Vedic knowledge with right terminology, right language, right understanding. This is an extraordinary contribution of Srila Prabhupada. Otherwise, you read these kind of verses, eating, non-eating path, eating path, non-eating path. There are two paths, and Lord is the Lord of both the paths. What is this eating path and non-eating path? See, cannot figure out all these things. So, we'll stop here. Grantaraj, Srimad Bhagavatam. Any questions anybody has? Yes, one question, few minutes.
Here it is told that the impersonalism is also avidya. But many places Prabhupada tells that these impersonalists, those who merge into Brahman, even they are called transcendentalists. So one place we call two kind of transcendentalists, personalists, the devotees, and impersonalists. And here we are seeing that even the impersonal path is nescience or avidya.
Okay. You see, transcendental means going beyond this material world. So they are also aiming to go out of the material world. Brahman is outside the material world. The spiritual sky is full of Brahman, Brahmajyoti. So the very fact that they are trying to go out of the material world, they are transcendentalists. But now, transcendental region, you have gone, but there are more things to go. Like say for instance, suppose somebody is in South India and they want to know where is Prime Minister. First knowledge is you have to come to Delhi to meet Prime Minister. We go to Delhi so often. We keep bumping into the Prime Minister, you think? Not at all. Very difficult. People living whole life, they would have lived in Delhi. They will never go and meet Prime Minister. They couldn't have. So, coming to the spiritual region is one thing. And beyond that also there is more understanding. Progress is essential. If you came from South India, come to Delhi, don't think you will see Prime Minister next day. After that, in Delhi, you have to figure out where does he live, where is PMO. You have to come to that region of Delhi. And in that region of Delhi, then there is one particular street you have to come. And that particular street, very difficult to get, and that there is a house, PM's residence. And there to go to that street itself is difficult. And there you enter, that is the house you try to enter. Oh, not possible. You have to have right qualifications. Then Prime Minister himself may call you, come and see me. Possible. So in the same way, they have gone to the transcendental region does not mean they are completely free from avidya. That's why I mentioned that point. Unless one comes to Krishna Prema, there are different shades of avidya still. And hence, coming to that full, they are transcendentalists, but there are further levels of transcendence. This is what happens. You do fine tuning, and it keeps splitting up. Oh, there is so much more. First you think there is a band, so I must get to that band. And when you get that band, there are many levels there. You go further, it splits up into many more. Now I have to go to the highest. Now that highest path, what is that highest position, is Krishna Prema. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to give that to everyone. See? That's why it's so special, what we have been blessed with. We have to value it. We have to take it very seriously and practice this. That was the message of Srila Prabhupada. Yes, please.
Bhagavatam verse.
Yeah.
So that also, it is very clearly it is mentioned. Avishuddha buddhaya and anadata ishmadangraya. Two words are there. Prabhupada always mentions that. Their intelligence is still not purified.
Not fully purified.
And anadata ishmadangraya, because they have dishonored or disregarded Krishna's lotus feet. That's why there is a chance of falling down. They fall down. So Krishna also says in Bhagavad Gita that this part is very troublesome. Anytime they can fall down. That is why it's avidya.
Yeah. So that is another level of avidya Prabhupada is pointing out here also.
They're only assuming they are liberated.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes Prabhupada becomes very heavy upon them personally. I heard recently they had some
Yeah.
demonic word Prabhupada used, because they are telling we are only that same.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why the spirit behind that thinking is a very obnoxious, very abominable. Why Prabhupada used such strong words? Out of compassion. To save humanity. Don't take that path. That path may be there in the Vedic culture, but it is meant to take us further. But we miss that out. Krishna also talks about that in the 12th chapter. You see? But Krishna says, eventually they come to me. We have to come to him. But that path is neha vikramo kleshodikatharastesham avyakta sakta chetas. It is full of klesha adhikaha. So don't take that path. That's a path that is... And Krishna's, in the Gita, he wants to quickly bring us to the path of bhakti. Sarvadharman parityajya. So Krishna is not recommending slow process in this age.
Except Sanatana Dharma, if you see the Christianity and Islam, there is no conception of altogether being equal to the Almighty. Like in Islam, there is no conception that I can think, being a Muslim, I can think I can become Allah. Christian also they don't have the concept altogether.
Yeah.
I can become that Father in heaven.
Yeah.
So they have very distinct dual concept. Father and we,
Son.
or Allah and we are his, like Mujahid, we are his followers.
So that way, if you see, the same spirit of Vaishnavism is there in that. If you see true Christianity, in one sense. In another sense, they don't have a further understanding about the kingdom of God. What is the nature of Lord's activities in the kingdom of God? They are lacking that information. And mostly, their concept is karma kanda. Recognize God, and by his blessing, we'll have a good family, good material wealth, we can enjoy life here. So it's largely a karmakanda religion, and hence it is not even that Brahmavada is for somebody who has become fed up of karmakanda religion. Enough of material enjoyment. Everywhere this material enjoyment is going to give me misery only. They have not even come to that stage. So it's a religion of that level. But within that, if you see, there is always an understanding that God, His blessing I need. When I get His blessing, I'll get my daily bread. The daily bread is to indicate different kinds of enjoyment we want. Just like this, anashane, ashane, sashane, sashane. So it is in that domain, and hence it is not required. That those ideas, those concepts are not there. We'll stop here. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Shri Radha Vrindavan Chandra ki, Shri Vrindavan Dham ki, Shri Nitai Gauranga ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Nitai Go Premanande.